not for fashion, not for concerts. Jungkook's reasons for going to Japan are deeper than you think. When news of BTS's Jungkook being spotted at an airport bound for Japan began to spread, most media outlets immediately speculated. Is it related to a famous brand photo shoot? Or maybe the preparation of a secret musical collaboration with a Japanese artist? But as it turned out, the purpose of Jungkook's departure this time was much more personal and touching than what the public had imagined. Jungkook's departure does look simple. He did not carry much luggage, wore casual clothes, and seemed reluctant to give many gestures to reporters waiting at the airport. But the gesture of his face, a little gloomy, eyes that seemed to hold something, invited Tanya. What exactly brought him to Japan in the midst of this very short and limited period of military leave? According to Korean media reports and sources within the Japanese fanbase, Jungkook did not stay at the luxury hotel as usual. He chose a more secluded place, far from the city center, and is known to have visited a traditional small house in the Kyoto area. Sources from the Japanese army said that Jungkook came to Japan to meet the family of an elderly Japanese man who had become a big concern for Jimin during BTS's tour in Japan several years ago. This man used to be the owner of a small restaurant where Jimin and Jungkook ate secretly after concerts. Not many people know, but the old man once saved Jimin from a minor incident that could be fatal when they were almost hit by a vehicle when getting out of the place. From that moment on, Jimin established personal communication with the man and even had time to return to visit him personally in subsequent years. However, the old man died a few months ago, and since Jimin is in the draft and can attend, Jungkook, who knows how much the man means to his best friend, he decides to come in Jimin's place, bringing Jimin white flowers and a handwritten letter of his own. One of Jimin's coach friends revealed that a few days before Jungkook took his leave, Jimin seemed to be sitting for a long time at the small desk of their barracks, writing something very seriously. When asked, Jimin simply replied, "This is for someone I didn't get to thank last time." The letter was neatly folded and kept in Jungkook's little book, handed directly into the hands of the old man's family when he arrived in Japan. The family, according to witnesses, cried and hugged Jungkook for a long time. He did not come as a world star, but as someone who brought love from his friends, said one of the family's neighbors. This step taken by Jungkook is proof that the friendship between him and Jimin is still alive, even in silence. In the midst of issues and public speculation about the estrangement of the two, this action is like answering everything without words. He didn't post anything on social media. He did not give an official statement. But he traveled hundreds of kilometers, carrying a letter, just to convey the gratitude of a friend to the figure who once meant a lot in their lives. After this news began to spread in Japanese and Korean online communities, fans from all over the world began to voice their feelings. This is not about concerts, not about a career. It's about people, about the heart, about sincerity. Jungkook did something that probably no one would have known, but it shows who he really is. That night, a small rain began to fall in the courtyard of the modest house in Kyoto where Jungkook spent the night. After a long talk with the family of the deceased old man, affectionately called Aji-san by Jimin and Jungkook, Jungkook asked permission to read Jimin's letter directly near the small altar where his ashes were kept. Although there was only family and one local translator who helped, the atmosphere seemed to be quiet, enveloping all. In a low voice, Jungkook opened the letter, Jimin's handwriting, containing unstoppable emotion. Aji-san, I'm sorry I couldn't attend in person, but every time we travel to Japan, we are always waiting for your presence. I still remember the moment we sat quietly in your little ramen shop, when everything seemed calm and I could breathe as a normal human being. Thank you for saving me that time. Thank you for treating us like your own grandchildren. If time could turn around, I'd like to eat one more bowl with you. The letter is read to completion without a single sentence being missed. Jungkook seemed to hold back his tears, but by the end, his eyes were getting wet. Aji-san's family hugged her, and one of them, the deceased's daughter who now cared for the house, said in a trembling voice, "Our father always kept photos of Jimin and Jungkook in his study." He said, they're not just singers. They're my kids, too. The night after the reading of the letter, Jungkook sat on the porch of the old house for a long time. He looked up at the gray Japanese sky. In his hands, there was a small notebook that he used to carry during military training. Eyewitnesses from the staff of the house said that he wrote something that night. Maybe in return. Probably a personal note. Or maybe it's just a song that will never be released. To be sure, before he left the next day, he wrote down one sentence in the guest book of the family home. "Thank you for being our little home in a world full of spotlights." After the visit, Jungkook returned to Korea in the same silence. No uploads, no press conferences. But the army who loved him knew that what he was doing in Japan had opened wounds, calmed the taste, and perhaps healed something long buried. Fans began to create illustrations about the visit, combining imagination and taste. Depicting the moment Jungkook read Jimin's letter under the raindrops of Kyoto. The pictures went viral, not because of the drama, but because of the sincerity that can be felt even in the form of silent paintings. One of the most touching comments from fans summed it all up. Jungkook and Jimin don't have to say anything. The world can talk, the media can argue. But small acts like this show that true friendship doesn't need public validation. He only needs one thing: hearts that keep each other safe, even from a distance. A few days after Jungkook's return to Korea, the atmosphere at the military headquarters was back to normal, quiet, orderly, and disciplined. But for Jungkook and Jimin, something had changed. Something invisible, but warm flowing through their brief gazes. At night in a dim barracks room, Jimin approaches Jungkook. Not many words spoken. He just handed me a cup of warm water and whispered softly, "I've read the reply letter from Aji-san's family. Thank you for representing me." Jungkook nodded slowly, looking at Jimin with calm but burdened eyes. No crying, no hugging. But in that silence, the two knew that they had never really moved away. Outside, the sound of crickets accompanied the long nights in the military camp. And in their hearts, a bond that was once forgotten is now growing again, not from constant togetherness, but from a willingness to remain present when each other cannot. That night, among the silence of the troops, two friendly hearts quietly again beat in one rhythm. And although the world will never know all the details, loyal fans will always understand. Jungkook was never really apart, just waiting for each other in an invisible place and find each other again when the time is right. This trip to Japan is not about music, not about a career. It's about memories, loss, and respect. Jungkook has stepped in as his best friend's silent messenger, carrying a letter that can only be sent through the heart. And he has written a chapter that will not be forgotten by anyone who knows its meaning. This story probably won't make world headlines, but for those who understand, this is the most honest story ever told. Without sound. If you want a continuation, for example, about how Jimin found out about Aji-san's family's reaction after Jungkook came home, or about the night when Jungkook and Jimin finally talked quietly at the military headquarters after all this, I could write it in the style of a deep, emotional story. It remains only to give the title. We continue. The trip to Japan this time was not for the spotlight, not for a photo shoot, not for stage performance, but to honor the past, to deliver a friend's message, and perhaps to ensure that despite their separation, their hearts still run side by side. Jungkook may return to Korea without major publicity, but those who know will always remember one thing. He didn't come here as an idol, but as a brother,